What gospel is being talked about in the Quran? And I want to learn more about that. And I want to have that conversation with you. And then I want to talk about, if this Injil doesn't exist, what are you going on? And how can you make presumptions? I'm really beginning still here.
I love those dear hearts and gentle people.
We both have to stay away from doing Wikipedia research because it's so lame. And it's just, we're better than that. You're better than that. I'm better than that. Even if we are both relative novices in our study of theology. Let's go deeper and let's have more intelligent conversations.
9 months prior to the based mother dialogues, this little golden gem from the 3Muslims was flying around the internet.
On the day of judgment, God will ask Jesus, did you tell people to worship gods or you and your mother beside me as gods? And Jesus will decline. He'll say, no, I never said that.
Oh, damn.
To be fair, play devil's advocate. Maybe this is one of those things where, God, I'm trying to think. Maybe this is one of those things where it sounds bad, but really it's not that big of a deal. That's just the only way I can defend this. I don't know, and I don't care to look into it.
Because, I mean, what are you really fighting for? Let's question that. What are you fighting for? Are you fighting for the freedom of religion? Let me tell you why that's problematic, especially from an Islamic perspective. Because you're fighting to have the freedom to believe what you want within a non-Muslim system. Islamically, we're not really supposed to live in a non-Muslim system or a non-Muslim world. You can, if need be, which, you know, today's day and age, that's what we have. But to be fighting for the right to what you believe within a non-Muslim world, and to get together with Christians and Jews and everyone who actually has different beliefs for that purpose, that's, I don't want to say half-assed, but that's kind of, I think that's a useless battle, to be completely honest.
This is Nakumba, and he is causing the Brotherhood much grief. His views do not coincide with ours, and that makes him dangerous. Silence him.
Hi everyone. Today we're going to take a look at some of my teachings that are called the Beatitudes. Specifically the one that says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And no. Muhammad said that fighting is prescribed. And it's much better than living at peace with people that don't believe the way that you do, fake Christian Jesus.
That is that there are no eyewitness testimonies that can be accredited to the Gospels at all.
No eyewitness testimony, eh? So we're going to throw out the writings of Josephus, Pliny the Elder, and other people, other sources outside of the Bible that attest to the historicity of the crucifixion of Jesus. Okay, so where is this guy getting this information from, getting this whole notion that it's not supported by, there's no witnesses? It's the crucifixion of Christ. It is an historical fact.
Gospels, when they were actually written, they were written in another land, so not, Palestine at the time. They were written in other places like Syria and other lands, in another language, in Greek.
Koine Greek was the lingua franca. It was the main language that was spoken in Syria, Palestine, now today known as the land of Israel. They were polyglots. They spoke several different languages. So, and I've said this myself, that Jesus would have spoken he would have had knowledge of at least 5 different languages: Syriac, Aramaic, as Koine Greek, and Hebrew. There's no way you can convince me otherwise, because any careful study of the Gospels, we know, for example, that Jesus would have been able to speak academic Hebrew, because it says he was in the temple with the scribes and with the religious leaders of the law, discussing with them on the Torah. Okay, and that's the thing. Just sit down and discuss and have these studies and debates back and forth. You would have had to have an excellent grasp of not only just regular street Hebrew. You'd have to have an academic Hebrew. I'm sure that they had Jewish diaspora in Egypt, because the Jewish diaspora in Egypt has been around at least since the Nehemiah built the wall. Okay, so I'm just saying, what else do these three Muslims have to bring against the Bible, folks? You're going to see them throw the people in living in Syria, Palestine. They're going to try to throw them all under the bus.
Which none of the disciples spoke, and most of them, I think, didn't even know how to read or write to begin with, even in their own language. So Greek would be completely out of the question for them.
No, absolutely not. Koine Greek was the lingua franca. And you want to know why? Why that's the case, folks? The reason why that's the case, again, is because Koine Greek was established by the Greeks. Okay? So there's no running around, running away from this. You got busted.
40 to 65 years after Jesus' death, which gave basically people 40 to 65 years to circulate stories, whether they're true or fabricated. But the 40 years later, by the time pen was put to ink and the first gospel, according to New Testament scholarship, Mark, was written, it had already been at least 40 years and upwards of 65.
Hold your horses, three Muslims. Oh, you're going to wish you would have never brought that up, buddy. Because if I take the same standard and apply it to your written Quran, let me tell you something. Your Quran didn't emerge until almost 200 years after the death of Muhammad. We're talking the written Quran. I'm not talking about recitation and all that happy horse pucky. I am talking about the written text. If you're going to try to crucify the Bible, then you're crucifying your own Quran. You're throwing your own Quran under the bus. It took 200, 300 years before the Sahih Bukhari collection was compiled and the Holy Quran. Coincidence? I think not, because they emerged right around the same time of the establishment of the House of Wisdom. This is all historical fact. Here's the problem. Which text is going to be more reliable? The one that had a language that was spoken for over 1,000 years, and a written text that was spoken for over 1,000 years, or a language that had to change its syntax, its structure, its grammar, and everything else like that every 100, 200 years? Sorry, bud. I'm going to go, my bet is going to be on the Bible. If we're going to, nitpick about, the text and everything else like that, my bet's going to be on the Bible.
There is a person who was, and this is a key point, by the way, very, not just literate, but trained and skilled in writing stories and so on and so forth. They actually had specific scribes who basically that was their job.
People, literacy rate was like at 5%. It was really low, okay? That part of it is true. However, we cannot compare the education level of the Arabian Peninsula to the education level in Syria, Palestine. We cannot, because part of the reason for this is because the system that was developed in that area, and especially in the area surrounding the region called Nabatea, okay, they had a highly evolved culture and view of women. Women could own their own property. Women that lived in the Syria, Palestine, present-day Israel region, they could own their own property. They could own their own money. That's a fact. So you cannot compare the level of ignorance in the Syria, Palestine / Israel area with the level of ignorance in the Arabian Peninsula. You cannot do that. Okay? You can't. These people had a developed language, and they spoke to each other, communicated to each other, and they had their own alphabet. The historical record shows that there was a higher quality of life and better system and level of education in the Syria, Palestine / Israel area than in the regular Arabian Peninsula.
What about blessed are the gentle, for they will inherit the earth?
Sorry, fake Jesus, but the Quran says that Muslims are the best of humanity. So only Muslims come first, and they're going to be the ones that are going to inherit the whole earth. And of course, since Muhammad is seal of the prophets, he's much better than Jesus.